What's good, y'all? It's your boy Shot Babu, the 99% cap, 1% gameplay. This is 100% 2022 NFL draft recap for my Tennessee Titans. Now, let me start by saying it's a lot of disgruntled fans over the trade with A.J. Brown, but we gotta take our emotions out of these situations and let's not be fanatics one time. Let's be fans of the players and the team. I'm happy that A.J. Brown got his money. You know what I'm saying? $100 million, almost $60 million guaranteed. The conversation was that we offered 16 that would have took him up to about 20. That's a lot of fans are saying, hey, man, you know, if he wanted to be the Titan, listen, let's just talk about the history of our franchise. Steve McNair, 13.3. We didn't want to give it to him. He went to the Ravens, went 13-3. Chris Johnson ran for 2,000 yards on 1.6. It had a contract dispute after that. Let's talk about moving forward. Jarrell Casey, I was fire hot when we let him go. He played a couple games for the Broncos, winds up coming back, retiring as a Titan. His replacement was Jeffrey Simmons. Now, I know it's hard for anybody to wrap their mind around our Titans getting better by losing A.J. Brown, but this is the simple part of it all. Jalen Hurts is on a $1.7 million rookie contract. They can afford him. We got Tannehill due to hit us for $38 million against the cap, no matter what we do with him this year. That's just as simple as it gets. Tannehill's contract prevents us from doing certain things on offense, and we had to take care of defense. You got Harold Landry signed. Got the 5th-year option on Big Jeff. We had just signed Bud Dupree last year. So when you just look at it like that, it's just an unfortunate cost of doing business. And I hate that it's people that feel like you got to hate AJ to be a Titan or vice versa. All right, so let's get that out the way. All right, let's talk about the $20 million we gave Clowney for them 14 solo tackles. If we want to talk about bad deals and stuff like that, like that tends to happen. All right, so let's get past that. Let's get into this draft, which I feel like was one of the better drafts that we've had. I don't know if anything could top that 2019 draft we had, drafting Big Jeff and AJ and all the people that Nate Davis, David Long Jr. But let's get right into this. All right, so ultimately, when I break it down, when I look at it, we basically give away AJ Brown for a first and a third. That first and a third, if you just look at it closest to numbers, winds up being Burks, which he was on everybody's radar as far as wide receiver, big physical wide receiver, which looks like a Tennessee Titan. And then we got Willis. Everybody wanted a quarterback. None of us that think with sense thought about taking one in the first round because we have so many holes on our defense, starting with the offensive line. I felt like if Green or Zion Johnson or Penning, any of those big offensive linemen that were going to fall in the second half of the first round fell to the Titans, I feel like we would take them. All right, those guys all come off the board early. The Texans took offensive guard. I wasn't expecting that. A lot of changes happened in that second part of the first round if you were watching. So ultimately, we get Burks and Willis with that pick in the first and the third that we wind up getting. So I feel like we got good value. We got the highest graded quarterback in the draft, and we got one of the receivers that everybody was after. All right, so we have to just look at it but I don't want people to start saying, yo, if Burks doesn't pan out to be this, don't compare him to AJ as much as we want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just let's let Burks be Burks. You see what I'm saying? All right, then Willis comes in a perfect situation. Tannehill's on the books for $38 million next year. Willis gets to come in, gets to sit, gets to learn, gets to hang around in Nashville, become a Tennessee Titan. I don't want people saying I want Tannehill to fail so Willis can get in. Let me show y'all a simple situation. The 49ers had Jimmy Garoppolo, a quarterback that had took them to the Super Bowl and lost to Mahomes, something we know about in Tennessee. Now, take that. Trey Lance comes in, sits on the bench last year, gets in sparingly, becomes a 49er. They're one play, interception drop away from going to the Super Bowl, and now it's the Trey Lance era. That's how it should be for Tennessee. We take a $9 million cap hit if we move Ryan next year. The quarterbacks that sat behind Tannehill, we talking about Logan Woodside and Kevin Hogan. Hey, man, appreciate everything they've done in Tennessee, but we need somebody that's behind the starting quarterback that makes you wonder if the season is not going or he's not performing. Hey, we might want to take a look at giving this guy a few snaps and getting him a few quality reps. All right. Another situation that we real similar to, I said this last year, maybe 2 years ago, when we got to thinking about what we were going to do in the situation. Alex Smith is a quarterback in the Chiefs. They can't get over the hump. They're a 13, 14, 12 win team each season. They go draft Mahomes. It's controversial. He comes in, steps in at the back end of the season. People are saying, should they start Alex? Should they start Mahomes? Look at the situation that turned into. All right. So let's hold our horses and let's just really look at the situation and let it play out. Because ultimately, when we're looking at receivers, now last year Brown played 13 games, Julio played 10 games, 63 receptions, 31 receptions, 869 yards, 434 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 touchdown. So we're looking at replacing an average of about like 11 or 12 games that they both played, 94 receptions, about 1,300 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now that's saying, we can take a poll because we can say, will Burks and Woods, if they play around 12, 13 games, will they give us the same production? I know it's not the same look on the field because it's A.J. Brown and it's Julio Jones, but we got to stop looking at like the actual person and just say like, hey, we're just trying to get better as a team. Now, I know Julio Jones is a Hall of Famer, and I think A.J. Brown has Hall of Fame capability, and it's tough because the question becomes like, do we question the front office of saying, man, every time we get a superstar, we don't pay him? It starts to think that's the part that real fans, not these fly-by-night fanatics that get mad at the front office when your favorite player leaves. It's not that. It's just to say like, yo, we got to pay the right guy. We can't give Clowney 20 for 14 solo tackles. We can't get excited because we made an AFC championship and give Tannehill $30+ million that's, kind of crippling us on offense as far as the financial hit that we taking, only because when you just look at it, like Tannehill threw for like 70 against the Patriots, 80 against the Ravens, not even 200 against the Chiefs against the stack box. You don't blame him for that. Hey, we lost to the Chiefs. They won the Super Bowl. You come back the next year, play the Ravens, 165 yards against the Ravens. We didn't score on the last 3 quarters with a 2,000-yard back in the backfield. Bad read on the last play, throwing to Raymond at Marcus Peters. It's an interception. Turn around this year, pick on the first pass, pick on the first pass in the second half, pick on the last pass of the game. You seeing A.J. Brown, 5 catches, 142 yards, a touchdown. Hey, we all get it. Now, that's what we want to see. We don't mind if our system is not overpaying or paying somebody what they feel they worth. Because I'm happy that Tyreek got paid. I'm happy Devontae got paid. I'm happy that AJ is getting paid. But I understand it. And eventually Debo will get paid. And if it's not by the 49ers, it'll be by somebody else. And I don't wish bad on somebody because they leave. We just got to make sure we get good value. In my opinion, if we can't afford A.J. Brown, if we sitting around 16 to 20 and he wants 25 and up, I'm glad he got his $60 million guaranteed in this $100 million contract. But I also hope that Burks and Willis winds up being great Titans. All right. So let's look at the second part of the draft, which was us trading out of the first round because I don't feel like we had the money to pay another first round draft pick. And we packaged another third round since we got an extra third that we took Willis with. So we wound up trading out of the first and trade that other third, and that turns in to Roger Mccreery. Now, a lot of people don't know who Mccreery is, but if you go back and look at the Iron Bowl tape, if you really want to do the research, he guarded Mechie and Williams. And I'm saying I'm an Alabama Crimson Tide fan. I watched every Bama game. I didn't see anybody that stuck to Mechie and Williams as tight as Mccreery did since they've been there. And I said during the game, texting with some of my friends that we in the group chat, I said, I'm telling y'all, he just played himself into the first round by the way he played, because there's no way you can look at Williams and Mechie's tape without seeing Mccreery and the way he competed against him. And that's exactly what Coach Vrabel said. All right, so then we wind up getting that pick in the second by trading back, and we got the 69th pick, which winds up being offensive tackle from Ohio State. Petit Frere, and I may say his name wrong, but big when I did my mock draft, he fell a lot of times and I was able to get him, which by all thoughts, this moves Dylan Raduns inside to left guard and moves him to right tackle. Jamarco Jones will kind of be that Swiss Army knife guy that goes between guard and tackle. We lost Questenberry. Kendall Lamb didn't work out. Sambrello retired last year. And you get to thinking when we cut Roger Saffold, other spots are safe, but this is my thing looking to the future. What if Petit and Raduns winds up being our left and right tackle of the future? No knock on Taylor Lewan because he played great after he went through that spiel of the first start of the season last year. I think he had to work out that injury, but it sets us up for the future where we're starting to draft ahead of the curve a little bit. All right. So we're looking at potentially our line being Lewan, Raduns, Ben Jones, Nate Davis, and Petit. So, I mean, hopefully that's where we're at on that. All right. So then we go get Phillips. Now, a lot of people is looking for like maybe a speedier player right there, but then we haven't got production out of the slot. Man, I can't think of the last time that we got production out of the slot. Maybe, man, it's been a minute, since we actually got production out of the slot. It was supposed to be Dez Fitzpatrick. We had Chester Rogers last year. A lot of injuries in this spot. We moved people in and out of that spot. Hopefully, from looking at his tape, he caught around 5 to 6 balls a game. Is a guy that really knows how to beat zone, man. Kind of that tweener guy that moves around, is kind of twitchy. Hopefully he turns out Phillips winds up being that player. But even still, we took a true slot receiver. Maybe we just drafting to get good football players to play in the roles we need them to play in. All right. So ultimately, that moves that we made that was so controversial turns into our quarterback, who was rated the highest rated quarterback, one of the receivers that everybody was after. We wound up getting another dog at corner, and people don't think about it like this. We got Fulton in the second. We got Elijah Moulton in the fourth. So if you think about getting Mccreery and Farley healthy this season, we would have been decimated at the defensive back position at corner for years and years and years. And last year we seen it. We was getting people off the street. So if you talk about Buster Skrine and having Chris Jackson mixed with this unit, we should have a really competitive set of DBs playing with Kevin Byard and having Armani Hooker behind him, two really good young safeties. And if you look at getting Theo Jackson, the other pick that we took later in the draft, he looks like the replacement to Dane Cruikshank, that guy that can play the safety, he can play the nickel, can play some corner on the outside, really just a really movable piece. You know what I'm saying? It's a hometown guy. So our picks start to make sense, and we get into the fourth, and we take Hassan Haskins. Finally, we have every down back that can play behind Derrick Henry and extend Derrick Henry's career. Seeing him on pace to take so many carries last year was just really, really disheartening, because we all knew what putting so many carries on a running back does to their career. And hopefully King Henry, nobody works out like him, can come back and be the player that he was. But at the same time, even if he comes back even better, I still don't want to see him touching the ball 30 times a game in the regular season. Darrington Evans, a third rounder that we took, a streamer, a guy that, you know what I'm saying, that I like just personally, you know what I'm saying. Unfortunately, he only was able to suit up about 3 or 4 times in 2 years. So he moved on to the Bears. Wish him nothing but the best. But hopefully Hassan Haskins is the guy. A lot of people was upset about Deontay Foreman leaving the team, being a Carolina Panther. But at the end of the day, he was good for us the year before. He wound up getting hurt before the playoffs. We bring him back this past year. He runs good. But at the same time, we looking for the future. How long, what's the longevity of that? You see what I'm saying? So now we draft a young guy who could fit that same role, somebody that could run it and catch it. Because just be honest, last year when we see Jeremy McNichols, a few guys get in, they're in the block and maybe catch. They're not really in to tote the ball if need be. I feel like Hassan Haskins is a guy that if Derrick Henry needs to be out for a game or we're ahead, I feel like he can carry that load. So we want to look on to the next pick that we had, which is Chig. When you think about Chig, this is another conversation about the AJ trade. Jonnu Smith is getting paid $12 million to be a tight end in New England. Derrick Henry's only making $12 million as a running back at Tennessee. So if you think about it, like we could have probably played Jonnu Smith, but maybe didn't feel like we wanted to pay him that much. Maybe feel like it's a replaceable piece. Last year we were very average at tight end. I feel like Tommy Hudson was an athletic guy when healthy, but he got hurt. Michael Pruitt was a very athletic guy before getting hurt. So then we down to Anthony Ferguson, who's now on the Falcons, and Jeff Swain, Swain played really good for us all year. But we go get Austin Hooper, Jeff Swain, you got Tommy Hudson, maybe Michael comes back off an injury, but we get Chig. We get the fastest tight end in the draft, and it looks like Jonnu Smith 2.0. A guy, that tight end that can block, but if he gets it in space, he can really be used and really, really good in the offense. So with us struggling in the slot so much, having a tight end that's athletic that can move up and down the field, this is why I feel like our draft became a really good draft. And if you think about Chance Campbell, we know we have like some of the best and deepest linebackers core in the league. When you talk about Bud Dupree and Harold Landry setting the edge with Weaver and Adeniyi playing behind him on the edge, then you still have Zach Cunningham, which we got to steal from the Texans, and David Long Jr., who we drafted in the draft a couple of years ago, who when healthy played like completely lights out. Then you think about Monty Rice from Georgia last year and Cole, and you add Chance Campbell, a guy that could play special teams and filling in that role. A tackling machine last year, 111 tackles for Ole Miss. I look at it as a complete draft. Pretty much every hole on my mock drafts or any drafts that I looked at, these are all the positions that we needed to fill. Every Titan fan wanted to take a quarterback, and if I told y'all before the draft that we was going to get Malik Willis and Treylon Burks, you would say, what are we giving up? I know it's a heavy, heavy price to pay with AJ, but I'm saying overall, looking to the future, it feels like we fill a lot of holes that we needed to fill. We drafted another O-lineman high up in the draft. We drafted another defensive back. So if Caleb Farley winds up not making that next step to replace where we were so weak at with Jonathan Joseph, then we got King and then pay King. King moved on to the Texans. Then we had Jack Rabbit. Jack Rabbit played bad the first half of the year. He got better in the second half of the season, but I'm all pretty sure that we feel like, and this has been a turnstile position for the Tennessee Titans, from Adoree Jackson to Malcolm Butler, and just running down like Logan Ryan leaving. Like, that's just been a turnstile position that we've suffered at over the years. And I feel like Christian Fulton is our true number one. Elijah Molden is a young slot and plays really well. If you add in Theo Jackson that can play safety and corner, give us like an ambidextrous piece, and you think about Mccreery fighting with Farley for that second spot, mixed in with Buster Screen and Chris Jackson, who also plays pretty good, man, like we really could load it up to where we're not in the position we weren't last year. And that's just like scrambling to try to get defensive backs on the field. I still feel like we maybe need one more veteran wide receiver that's proven. We need one more offensive lineman that's proven. But far as the future and looking for future starters and how we built our team, getting Hassan Haskins, if Phillips winds up turning out to be even, and I don't even want to say this in a negative way, even if he winds up turning out to be very average, him in that slot being very average, I'm pretty sure can't be worse than what we had. I mean, we talking about Chester Rogers last year in the slot, played pretty much the whole year in the slot with 300 yards receiving. I feel like we have to get better at that slot position. We got more athletic at the tight end, and it's to be a situation we could put Fitzpatrick and Phillips in the slot. Maybe we even still get another guy. Nick Westbrook can grow more into, the role he was in, run block, receiving, guys that can go catch the ball and win their ones. Because when Derrick Henry's on the field, Tannehill's going to get a single high safety, 80% of the dropbacks. So when we're looking at that, we have to get better down in distance. We can't be running on first down, tied down in every sink. But we ran on first down more than any team in the NFL. And who was second? Was the Cleveland Browns, and they beat up Chubb in the same way, just running our running back into the ground on first down. So hopefully, with looking at this draft and 9 picks, I don't see any pick on that board that doesn't make sense, that didn't fill a hole where it's completely needed for us. Because if Mccreery and Farley winds up, like one of them guys winds up stepping up, we could have the best defense in the NFL. And I know we take a step back. It's no way we step forward with A.J. Brown being off the field and Julio Jones from last year. But if you look at it, as much as A.J. Brown and Julio was out and as much as Henry was out, we still managed to be the number 1 seed in the AFC and still managed to win the South 2 years in a row. And then the Colts have gotten better. The Texans have gotten better. The Jaguars have gotten better. And this is a situation where we got a chance to grow our offense for the future, because the best ability is availability. And hopefully we'll be able to put a team out on the field like the 49ers did last year after all those years of injury they had before in between a Super Bowl run. I don't wish a bad year on Tannehill. I hope he plays good next year. And at the same time, it's still, we know we look into the Malik Willis era. And this is the good side about not taking him in the first round, getting him in the third. He's on a rookie contract that's not that expensive, is pocket friendly. And if he pans out, then you're in the position the Eagles in. Your rookie contract quarterback can win for you, and he's not like breaking the bank. If he doesn't pan out, he'll be a better backup than Logan Woodside and Kevin Hogan have been, because it'll actually put some pressure to the starting quarterback that could potentially be drafted maybe the next year if it don't work out. Then guess what? This guy will still challenge you for your position. And I hope that Malik Willis like shuts up all the doubters and the people that looked over him, and just look at it as an opportunity to do what Trey Lance did this year, and some of the quarterbacks that was drafted, they get to sit. It's not just thrown into the fire on a bad team. You're on a good team. We got a good core. We got a great defense. We got the NFL Coach of the Year. And this is a situation where if we get a little more depth on the offensive line and a little more depth at wide receiver, we got a potential to do something special next year. And let's go for our third consecutive AFC South championship and move past this thing where like we're just happy to make the playoffs. I'm so happy that we got ourselves out of the gutter of the NFL to where we're competing every year. Now it's time to make that next step. And I feel like as bad as the situation was losing AJ, I feel like after that situation, this is the best draft that we could have potentially had, because we feel more spaces than I felt like we could have filled in this draft, because I don't look at any of the picks that we've had and like, oh my God, why we take this guy? It's more like, okay, I get it. And I think I want fans to do what I do. Take your emotions and throw them out the window and just look at it objectively and say, I hope that this is a situation where Malik Willis is the quarterback of the future. Tannehill has a good year. We're still able to deal him the last year's contract, similar to how Carson Wentz got dealt out of Philadelphia, to where it wasn't a bad cap hit. Eagles got a first round pick back, and you see what they was able to do with their draft this year in a stockpile of picks that they had. So that's the situation that we want to be in. We still got a chance to win our division, keep the AFC South crown, and get younger and build a team for the future as well. And hopefully that this 2022 going into 23 Tennessee Titan team can do what we all wish we could do, is get to the Super Bowl and take our chance, because a lot of people feel like this was our year and we missed the window. Even if that is true, it's still moving forward to putting the best football team we can put out on the field and compete. It's your number one Tennessee Titan on Facebook. I will be streaming Madden morning and night every day, just like I've been doing. We're doing the Titan Talk podcast at least one day a week, where you guys can hop in on Discord and throw your football questions out there. We can chop it up as a community. Shot by Buddha on every social media platform, man. Make sure y'all hit that like, share, comment on all the posts. And let's just I'm excited, man. I'm ready for Madden to drop. I'm ready for the next NFL season. I'm definitely gonna try to buy some tickets and go to a couple of games at Nissan Stadium this year and take some supporters. So y'all let me know down in the comments what y'all think about this draft that the Tennessee Titans have. If you're not a Titan fan, you can drop your grade and your thought about your team as well, and come in the stream, man. We'll get live and we'll go over it. because this been one of the craziest, most exciting drafts I've seen in a long time. And tighten up, man. Hey, look, fans, stop being sour, man. Wish AJ Brown the best. Wish Darrington Evans, Dane Cruikshank, Okari Blasingame, Questenberry, all the Titans that left, man. Wish them nothing but the best. And welcome the new set of stars in with an open arm, man. And let's get it.